Okay.
Stupid, I don't like it.
Now,
Don't be stupid, Daddy.
it's story
Yeah, I
time.
don't like it. Stop it.
Okay.
Stop it. I don't like.
Are you ready? Is that better? Huh? Now, it's story time. And today, we have a story that's a little bit scary. Although the title doesn't sound very scary. But imagine if it was true. Because this story is about a girl who turned into a ribbon.
No.
Yes, she did.
Not this one.
I'll tell you this one. I'll tell you another one later.
No.
This one is...
Another one.
No, let's listen first.
No, this one. Another one, please.
How about the girl whose finger turned into a ribbon? Just a finger.
Daddy.
Anyway, let me tell the ribbon story first, because I'm almost there. Are you ready? Once upon a time, there was a little girl who lived with a beautiful family, and her mother was always dressed really well, and she never went out the house without polished high heels, matching clothes, and perfect
Daddy,
hair.
How her turning into ribbon?
Well, listen to the story. Her daddy always left the house with a pressed suit and tie, and his hair was immaculate, and his shoes were always shiny. And immaculate means really clean and proper. And
It's not immaculate.
no, it isn't. And the little girl was the most well-dressed little girl in the whole of the city. Everybody knew who she was because her clothes and her hair and her shoes were just perfect. Her mom had bought 327 pairs of shoes. She had about 510 kinds of jackets, and 300 skirts, and about 1,000 pairs of socks. But the thing that the mom liked most was ribbons. She had about 1 million ribbons in the house, all kinds of shapes and sizes and colours and patterns and different kinds of materials. She had pink ones and blue ones and yellow ones. She had long ones and short ones and fat ones and thin ones. She had wrinkly ones and straight ones and stiff ones. She had soft ones and smooth ones and sticky ones. She had a slime one, and she had an ice cream stick one. She had all kinds of ribbons. The mum was ribbon crazy. She was a bit ribbon mad. So every day, the last thing the mum would do was sit the girl on a very high stool and brush her hair and put ribbons in it. Mom should have been a hairdresser. She was really good at doing her daughter's hair. And every day she put the ribbons in. And actually, because her mum was doing such a good job, she was always late for school. And that's why you would see the girl running down the street in a nice shoes, nice knee-high socks, beautiful dress, and perfect ribbons in her hair. In fact, because she was so well dressed with perfect ribbons, and because Mummy had about 1 million ribbons, her nickname became Ribbon. Ooh, there's little Ribbon running down the street. Hello, Ribbon. You're late for school again. Ribbon? Where did you get those ribbons from? My mum's got about 1 million ribbons, said little Ribbon. And so every day, the people in the shops and the streets, and the taxi drivers and the milkmen would all look out for the new ribbon that Ribbon was going to wear in her hair. But one day, something terrible happened. A burglar, that's a bad man, broke... A burglar is a bad man.
Okay.
He broke into the house in the middle of the night. And he couldn't really see anything. He picked up this bag.
No.
He broke into the house. Some bedman.
Daddy, who blocked the house?
No, he went through the window and came into the house and he stole the bag of ribbons.
내 가져갔다고?
Some bad guy.
Daddy, Daddy 가져갔어?
Yeah.
Daddy, she take the ribbon?
Yeah, some bad guy took all the ribbons. The next day, when the family woke up, Mom.
Daddy, I know the bad guy. She could fall over in the window and take all the ribbons.
I think so, yeah. So the next day, when they were getting up for breakfast, before Mom had even gotten out of bed, and before the little girl had even woken up, she could feel that something was not right. She bounced out of the bed and didn't even bother to put the slippers on and ran straight into the living room. And there, on the living room's floor, was the space where the ribbons used to be. The mom fainted and fell on the floor and banged her head. And when the girl got up and walked into the living room, she saw Mom on the floor. She saw the window open, and Dad was busy having a shower. The girl screamed, and Mom woke up. And Mom screamed, and the girl screamed. And Mom said, "Why are you screaming?" And the girl said, "Why are you screaming?" And Mom said, "Because the ribbons have gone." The girl screamed again. And her mom said, "Stop screaming, it's okay. We'll find them." And the girl said, "But what are we going to do about today? I can't go outside if I don't have any ribbons in my hair."
Why?
The mom said, "Don't worry. We'll get the ribbons back. And you're not going to go outside until we do." And so that day the girl didn't go to school. And the principal called the mom and said, "Excuse me, why is Ribbon not at school today?" "Because, Mr. Principal, we've lost the ribbons." We called the police, and the policeman came. And Mom told the policeman about every single ribbon that she had.
Daddy, my mom gonna tell the bad guy.
Mom's going to tell the police, and the police will catch the bad guy. So, the policeman took down the details of every single ribbon, and he was at the house for 3 days. By the time he'd finished, the policeman was so tired. He had to go to sleep on the sofa. So the girl, Miss Ribbon, had not been to school for 3 days now, and it was actually the weekend. And Daddy was getting worried because Mommy and Ribbon had not been outside yet. So he said, "Come on, let's go outside for the play." "No, we cannot go outside because we got no ribbons."
So why?
Because Mom couldn't do anything with her hair without the ribbons. But she hasn't got any ribbons to tie it with. Anyway.
Do you tie your hair with a ribbon? No.
Well, this family does. Anyway, it had been...
Your hair into your body.
It had been... They don't have any commodities. Just ribbons.
Just leave your hair like this and go out.
Oh, they can't do that. They have...
Make a ribbon.
Anyway.
Make a fake one.
What's going to happen? Let's listen to the story. So anyway, it had been 4 days now, and it was Saturday night, and the mum and the girl did not know what to do. There was one thing about not going outside with a ribbon, but Mom was getting worried that Ribbon would miss too much school. So she said, I'm gonna pray to the ribbon god that he brings back all the ribbons. And so that night, the mummy and the girl sat next to the bed, put their hands together and put them on their head, and prayed for the ribbons to come back. They prayed all night, and then finally, at about 4 o'clock in the morning, when it was dark, Mom and the girl fell asleep. They dreamt about ribbons all night, and in the morning, something very special had happened. It was not what they wanted, but when they woke up, the girl felt something tickling her finger, and when she looked down, she saw that the little finger on her left hand had turned into a ribbon. It was a pink little ribbon made from silk, and it tapered as long as a little finger. She didn't believe it was real. She thought she was dreaming. So she shook her hand, but the ribbon was still there. She tried to scratch it off, but it wouldn't go. She thought she'd pull it off, but it wouldn't come off. It was stuck. It was coming out of her skin. Mom, look at my ribbon finger, she said. Oh my gosh, said Mom. You're turning into a ribbon. What does that mean? I don't know, said Mom. Anyway, this was the start of the girl turning into a ribbon. That afternoon, because it was Sunday, the girl was getting used to having 4 fingers and a ribbon on her left hand. But this wasn't too bad because she was actually right-handed. So she still did some of her homework that she was doing for school. And she was still able to eat some rice with her right hand. But when she went to take a picture with a camera, or when she went to turn on the telly, or when she went to wash her hands, she always felt a bit strange. But anyway, the mum was secretly happy because they had 1 ribbon now. 4 days ago they had no ribbons. And so even though Mum was a bit scared, she still had a ribbon. Anyway, the girl went to bed that day. And she said to Mum, whatever happens, I've got to go to school tomorrow. The next day she woke up and she looked at her hand, and 2 fingers were ribbons. This ribbon was a yellow one, but it was silk. And the girl screamed, Mom, look at my fingers. Again the mum smiled inside as she thought, now I've got 2 ribbons. I've still got 1 daughter, but I've got 2 ribbons. The girl went to school. She put gloves on and told the teacher that she got some spots on her fingers and didn't want to play with toys without the gloves on. But it seemed not to fool anybody. By lunchtime, she had 3 fingers that were ribbons, and by home time, her whole left hand was flapping with 5 colourful ribbons. The girl didn't know what to do, so she ran home as quickly as possible. She showed her mum, and her mum fainted again. So the girl tickled her nose with the ribbons and woke her up. At dinner time, her other hand had turned into ribbons. So now she had 10 colourful ribbons dangling from her hands. The girl was frantic.
What does it mean?
Like panicking and scared and worried really a lot. The mum tried to say, "It's okay, we'll get your fingers back." But secretly, Mum didn't want to give the girl her fingers back. She now had 10 ribbons. And that was better than 9, which was better than 8, which was better than 2, which was better than none. So the mum reassured the girl, "Don't worry, I'm sure your fingers will come back. Just go to bed, I'll brush your teeth for you." The next day, the girl screamed again because she couldn't get out of bed. She had 2 long ribbons coming from her shoulders. And from those long ribbons were 5 colourful ribbons on the end of each long, big ribbon from her shoulders. Mum couldn't hold back a smile as she thought, "I've got some huge ribbons here." But the girl was so scared she didn't notice her mum smiling. And when her mum took her into the bathroom to wash her face, she couldn't believe what was happening. As she sat down for breakfast, things started to get faster. Her toes and her feet turned to ribbons, and before she could finish her breakfast, her legs all turned to ribbons. And she was sitting there on her bum, with long ribbons coming from her bum to her feet, and 5 little ribbons pointing out of those for her toes. Mum started to laugh now, excitedly, in the hope that her daughter was going to be one big, beautiful ribbon. Her daughter was getting scared. "I don't want to be a ribbon, I want to be a little girl," she said. "You're beautiful now," said the mummy. "But you can't go to school." "I know," said the little girl. At lunchtime, all but the girl's head had turned to a big, beautiful ribbon. And Mum was lying on the sofa, laughing and giggling, and just waiting for her daughter's head to turn into the bow on the ribbon. And sure as day, at about 3:30, there was a pop and a fluff and a shoo as the girl's head and hair changed and flopped and tied itself into a beautiful bow, which then sat on top of the beautiful ribbon, which then lay down next to the kitchen table. Mummy couldn't wait, and she jumped off the sofa and stood and stared at this big, beautiful, perfect little ribbon that was about the same size as the little girl, but lying down. The ribbon could speak, but ever so quietly. "Mum, I'm a ribbon." "You are a ribbon," said the mum. "You're the most beautiful ribbon in the whole wide world. I don't need 1,000,000 ribbons when I've got one ribbon like you." "What are you going to do?" "I'm not going to do anything," said the mum. "I'm going to keep you here, and I'm going to admire you as my favourite ribbon in the whole world." "But what are you going to say about me? What happened to me?" "I'll just say you ran away." "But I'm here. I'll tell Dad." And the mum got a piece of tape and put it around the ribbon's mouth so she couldn't speak. There you go, you're not going to tell Dad anything. I'm going to tell him you ran away or went to your grandma's house. There you go. And she picked up the ribbon and took it and put it on top of the bookshelf. And there the ribbon sat for years and years and years. And over the years, Mum got a nice glass cage and a plaque that said, "The biggest ribbon in the world, 1,000,000 to 1."
You stay in the bed.
Okay.
Go.
And
Daddy, go
I'm not
in
finished.
the bed.
I'm not finished yet.
Go in the bed.
Okay. But then
Go.
the mom.
I said go.
Okay.
Daddy, what is 2 million plus 2 million?
2 trillion. And then, are you ready? So, I'm coming to the end of the story. The end of the story is as sad as the story itself. Because when the mom was about 97 years old and the ribbon was still in the glass box, Mommy, with no hair, and Daddy had died a long time ago, was sitting in a chair. She was so old she couldn't move. When the bad guy, a different one, the bad guy, broke her window, came in, and took the box with the ribbon. The mom tried to get up to stop the bad guy, but she couldn't. And he walked away. And he smiled at the old woman and said, "Thank you, old woman. I'm going to take this. I'm going to give it to my little girl because she likes ribbons. She's got millions of them in her house." And the bad guy took the glass box back to his house and gave it to his granddaughter. The granddaughter had 1,000,000 ribbons, who she got from her daddy, who got it from his daddy. Actually, it was the same person who took the first 1,000,000 ribbons. The little girl couldn't believe her eyes. This was the most beautiful ribbon she'd ever seen in her life. She opened up the glass box and she picked up the ribbon and she looked at it for about 2 hours, what seemed to be an eternity. Just then, as the sun was setting, the light shone through the balcony at just the right angle that the light bounced off the bit of tape on the ribbon. The girl thought, that's a bit strange. Why is a beautiful ribbon like this got tape on it? So she peeled it off ever so slowly. And she heard a help. The little girl heard the ribbon crying for help. So she spoke to the ribbon, and the ribbon told the story of when she was a girl and a bag of millions of ribbons going missing, and then it being turned into a ribbon, and then being put in a glass box for about 80 years. 60 years. And now she was in the same house as the girl who had the bag of ribbons. As soon as the little girl showed the ribbon, the big bag of millions of ribbons, the big ribbon turned back into the girl. Slowly at first. The bow on the ribbon flipped back and turned into the girl's head. Then her body came back, and her legs from a bomb, and her arms and her fingers, and finally the toes. And she was a little girl again. And she was the same age as this other girl. And so they played together with all the ribbons. And then the little girl's mummy came back and said, "Who are you?" And the little girl said, "This is my friend, my new friend. She's called Ribbon. Would you like to stay with us for tea, Ribbon?" "Yes, please," said Ribbon. And she stayed for tea. And she slept over that night. And she slept there for the rest of her life. Until she was old enough to leave, that is. And she became part of the new family. And when she grew up, these two girls opened a ribbon shop, and they became the most famous ribbon shop in the whole world. And actually, the funny thing is, Ribbon, as perfect as she was, had one little thing that was different. She'd been changed back to normal, but she still had a ribbon for a big toe. And it would grow and grow and grow like a toenail, and she'd have to cut it. And that was her secret. She had a ribbon for a toe. But anyway, that is a story of how a girl turned into a ribbon. The end.